Most people who watch Tarantino movies can name some of his more recognizable inspirations, such as 70s kung fu flicks made by Shaw Brothers, or 40s film noir, or even blaxploitation films, also mostly from the 70s. But one major inspiration of Tarantino's that often goes overlooked is actually not from the world of cinema at all, but from literature. Author Elmore Leonard has written many different stories over his career, and many of them have gotten adaptations to both film and television, such as with the Timothy Oliphant TV show Justified, or with Tarantino's very own Jackie Brown, based on Leonard's novel Rum Punch. Jackie Brown follows a flight attendant played by Pam Grier who works as a mule for Sam Jackson's Ordell Roby, a Los Angeles gunrunner. One day, Jackie gets caught by the cops and has to strike a deal with them to give up Ordell in exchange for her freedom. The problem is that, regardless of how this whole thing plays out, Jackie is kinda screwed. If Ordell walks free, he'll kill her, but if he's caught, Jackie will be officially broke, seeing as she barely earns a living wage in her job. She's in her 40s and way too old to start her life over from scratch, so she and bail bondsman Max Cherry, played by the great Robert Forster, devise a dangerous scheme to steal money from Ordell while also having him arrested. If this doesn't work, both Jackie and Max are dead, but if it does work, they're set up for life. It's a rather complicated plot with several characters and moving parts, but that's kind of the standard for Elmore Leonard. Now, I'm not going to pretend I'm some literary genius and scholar on Elmore Leonard's body of work, but second-hand accounts of the guy's style make it clear that he was and continues to be a great inspiration for Tarantino. Leonard is known for these pretty downbeat stories. You won't find a ton of blood-pumping action scenes, but you will find well-written, extended dialogue sequences that establish characters and set up tension. Sound like someone you know? Yeah, Tarantino is a self-admitted fan of Leonard's work, and after the success of Pulp Fiction, he decided to purchase the film rights to some of his novels, eventually choosing to adapt Rum Punch after rereading it and, quote, falling in love with the story. This is relevant because Jackie Brown is, to this very day, Tarantino's only direct adaptation of another work. Yes, I know he's referenced other stuff with the names of characters and even movies, but this remains his only time directly adapting a previously existing story. So, how does he fare? Pretty well, actually. To my knowledge, the only notable changes between the book and the movie have to do with the lead herself. She was changed from white to black, and her last name was changed from Burke to Brown. Besides that, apparently the movie is a pretty close adaptation of the book, which just goes to show Tarantino's appreciation for the source material. I also have the sneaking suspicion the race swap and name change were only done because he wanted to cast Pam Grier in the lead role. Usually, I'm not the biggest fan of race swapping, but in this case, I'm fine with it. Race swapping characters to virtue signal or whatever is cringe, but race swapping characters so we can have more sexy black women is based. I don't make the rules, that's just how it works. And yeah, Pam Grier in this movie, despite being in her 40s, is... well, let me put it to you like this. If you see this picture and don't think this woman is hotter than a blazing furnace, you just don't like women. I'm sorry if this is how you're finding out about it, but you just don't like women. A literal white supremacist could look at Pam Grier and say, well, okay, maybe not all race mixing is wrong. So yeah, Pam is hot enough that she could melt the polar ice caps just by standing next to them, but her performance also deserves praise. Jackie is a desperate woman put in a desperate situation. She sees an opportunity, a sliver of a chance for her to actually change her life and leave all this nonsense with Ordell behind her, and she just goes for it. Grier exudes confidence in her performance, but you can tell a lot of it is a facade. Jackie is actually scared to death, but is trying her hardest not to let it show, which only makes it more satisfying when she gets won over the other players. Helping Jackie is bail bondsman Max Cherry, our male lead for the movie. I've seen more than one person say that he's actually their favorite Tarantino character of all time. Honestly, I don't know if I really get it, but I will concede that he stands out among the competition. Max is a remarkably normal guy, but he's been around criminals for a while and is believably competent at dealing with them. During one scene, Ordell tries to basically play the race card on him to get out of paying Max for his work, and Max just replies with, "So white guilt is meant to make me forget I'm running a business?" Pretty cool, dude. He and Greer actually have some nice chemistry with each other, helping you root for the two of them to make it out on the other side alive. Oh, and I keep bringing him up, so I might as well say that Sam Jackson is great as usual as Ordell. I don't think anybody's gonna say that this is his best character ever, but he has some nice idiosyncrasies to him, such as his ridiculous hair and beard. Ordell is a cool villain. He's not some omniscient mastermind who's 12 steps ahead of everyone. But he's still very competent and ruthless, a believably smart character. He doesn't really go out of his way to hurt people and is actually a pretty great judge of character, figuring out how the people around him operate. Like he says, you can't trust Melanie, but you can always trust Melanie to be Melanie. Once somebody threatens either his money or his freedom, though, he won't hesitate to kill them. He's a nice antagonist, due in no small part to Jackson's natural charisma. Now for two guys that you think would have larger roles but don't. There's Robert De Niro as Lewis, Ordell's buddy from prison, and Michael Keaton as Ray Nicolette, one of the agents who arrests Jackie. Lewis is kind of weird. Ordell swears by the guy, like he's some sort of criminal legend, but he doesn't do much in the movie itself and actually screws up more than once. I think that might be the point of the character. It's supposed to be this meta joke, like you expect De Niro, given his filmography, would play some great gangster, but nope. He's washed out. He lost his edge. He just looks out of it for most of the movie, barely even speaking and looking disheveled. His character is pretty accurately summed up by Ordell when he says, "Yo ass used to be beautiful." I have even less to say about Michael Keaton's character. Keaton is cool in the role, like he always is, but Nicolette is a rather standard lawman character. He pretends to be friendly to Jackie, but is actually just dead set on catching Ordell, putting the pressure on our heroine. That's the long and short of it, really. He's not a bad or boring character, by the way. He's just not as animated as, say, Vincent Vega or Mr. Orange. The lack of more, let's say, colorful characters is probably due to the fact that this is an adaptation. Like I said before, Elmore Leonard's works are usually very downbeat and grounded. This leads to Jackie Brown feeling very different from Tarantino's other movies. In fact, one time I saw somebody who clearly wasn't a fan of Tarantino say that Jackie Brown was his only mature movie, because it really isn't over the top at all. Not with the acting, not with the characters, not with the violence. Now, some of Tarantino's hallmarks are here, such as the great soundtrack and tight dialogue, but if you're expecting Jackie Brown to have these big-ass samurai battles or cowboy shootouts, that ain't happening. Although there is a scene of an older woman seducing Robert De Niro while listening to The Supremes. Yeah, I don't know what that's really about. Also, the foot fetish stuff is here and accounted for, so if you're worried, rest easy. A lot of Tarantino's movies feel like they take place in this altered reality in a world of their own, but Jackie Brown takes place squarely in the real world. Ultimately, I think this is the reason for this movie to not be as talked about as his other stuff. It doesn't have as many quotes, as many crazy scenes, as many out there characters, but that's ironically what makes it stand out for me. It's an expertly made crime thriller. No gimmicks required. It has twists and turns, it has a complex plot, but it trusts the audience to be able to follow everything going on without the need to be spoon-fed all the information. Controversial opinion? This is actually my second favorite Tarantino movie. I like it more than Reservoir Dogs, and yeah, I like it more than Pulp Fiction. Reminiscing about the movie while writing this review, I really got very nostalgic for it and just thought to myself, damn, Jackie Brown rocks. I won't say what my absolute favorite Tarantino movie is right now, but once I get to reviewing it, you'll know. Meanwhile, take a guess in the comments. That should be fun to see. Anyway, Jackie Brown came out and it did pretty well at the box office, pulling in $74 million against a budget of $12 million. A respectable performance. Less than half of what Pulp Fiction made, but still good. And besides, at this point, Tarantino had firmly cemented himself as a pop culture icon. But let it never be said that the guy became predictable with success, because after making his most realistic and down to earth movie with Jackie Brown, he would make his most ambitious, over the top, and epic movie yet, a two-part tribute to revenge and kung fu movies from the 70s, the movie that created one of the best female protagonists of all time. Next time on the Tarantino Marathon, Kill Bill, Volumes 1 and 2. Alright, so we're at the end of the video. Sorry about this Tarantino marathon not being much of a marathon, it's just that some stuff came out that I really wanted to talk about, so this got put on the back burner for a little bit. The Kill Bill review is coming out soon. Ish. If I don't feel like talking about other stuff first. Yeah, so please look forward to that. See you next time.